another edition of DR's Let's Talk Tax. I'm Anita Huber. As you know, on this program, we strive to give you information that will make your interaction with the Ghana Revenue Authority more efficient and, of course, more effective. And we love giving the public information on how our operation, what happens in the operation, and all the things, the components of the operations of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Today, it's no different. I'm very pleased to have on our program today Richard Lovell. He is a boarding officer. It's his first time in our program, and he's joined by Alexander Elliott, also a boarding officer. They're both first-timers in our program, and this week we are talking about clearing vessels. In fact, we're talking about clearing international and coastal vessels. So, gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I like that you're in your uniforms, so I'm assuming that once I have to deal with, if you're going to deal with the ships, because when we talk about vessels, we're talking about ships and boats, right? Yeah. So this is how you're attired when you have to meet any of those persons.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So if you can walk us through the process, because I'm also learning, I thought that when a boat gets into Guyana, if it doesn't have anything to declare, it doesn't have goods on it or so, it can just meander through our waters and keep going. I understand that's not how it works. So I'm going to go first with Mr. Lovell, and then I'll come back to Alex. So Richard, tell us about what the process is if any vessel is coming through our waters.
First, when a vessel arrives in Georgetown, Guyana, the master or the captain of the vessel is required by law to produce the clearance from the last boat. That would indicate that it clear from that port. Coming to Guyana was a legal transaction. So once that is presented to us, we know that this boat is coming
legally, and it's a proper trip they're taking.
Yeah.
So I can't have a yacht and decide, okay, I woke up this morning, I'm going to roll out from Barbados or some way and just come to Guyana. I have to leave a port.
You have to leave a port.
So when we talk about, this is why we talk about Port Georgetown.
Yes.
All right. So when you hear about this, it's a fascinating bit of experience, and the operations are quite fascinating. So you understand that you operate like a little airport, sort of, when in Georgetown here, because you have to board and you have to check and so on. So Alex, if you can tell us, when a vessel leaves, say, Trinidad and Tobago, right? When it leaves the port there, what is it that person or the person who's checking them off, your peers in Trinidad, what will they be checking them for so that they can leave Trinidad to come to Guyana?
Well, I could talk for us here.
Well, I guess it's the same thing, but I just, so.
For us here, we, for a vessel to leave, after being boarded, you're talking about clearance for them to leave to go to Trinidad now.
Right.
Right. They must present a clearance form to us, to customs. That's a C-18 form. That is for vessels over 100 tons.
So that's a big vessel.
Mm.
Okay.
They clear on a C-18 form.
And what is the information on that form that they need to give, they need to provide to you and your colleagues?
They must provide the country they're going to, the tonnage of the vessel, they must provide the amount of crew, how many crew members, and
cargo
if they have any cargo.
Yeah.
So those are the things you're looking for.
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever, so you board the vessels, do you ever have to, when you go onto the vessel, do you do like checks? Do you have to like physical checks, or you just look for documentation?
Well, for the vessels, for the big vessels, over 100 tons, we just do the documentation. For the smaller vessels, under 100 tons, then we would do a rummage.
There's a rummage?
Yeah.
That's a term.
That's a term.
Search.
You search.
Yeah. There's a form for the vessels under 100 tons. That is C10 form. That's a rummage certificate that would show whether they have cargo or not. So if they give us a rummage form, meaning that the vessel is in ballast, it have no cargo, that means that when we make a physical check, it should be in ballast.
So it should have no cargo.
In ballast, another term too.
There's another term.
Empty.
I like
Means empty.
It's empty. Okay. How do you know if it has cargo or not? Because let's say, I roll in with my boat and I want to go, I have things, I probably will have parties on my boat and so on. So you will see lots of liquor stored up, blah, blah, blah. How do you know that, okay, this is not stuff that they're actually looking to sell or anything like that? This is just things they want to use.
Oh, well, for the vessels, for the bigger vessels, they would normally have a high duty stores, what we call the high duty stores. that would have liquor and cigarettes, whiskey, you know,
Yeah, things
and
like that.
ammunition like guns and.
So they will
and
have those things.
They might. Some vessels, some big vessels might have that.
So that is part of what comes with them.
Stores.
Yeah.
So you expect that.
Yeah, that is part of the high duty stores.
Okay.
Right. So we would then seal the high duty stores as long as the vessel remains in port.
What do you mean seal? It means you lock it off?
We lock
Yeah,
it
put
off.
on
Yeah.
seal.
So they can't take off the stuff
They
and...
can't.
Unknown without your permission.
Oh, that's interesting. That's quite fascinating. So if I brought all this thing on and I just thought, well, okay, I'm going to get off the ship, because I guess some of them come off and they hang out in Georgetown
It's
for a little
not
bit.
like that.
It's you can't just take a couple of bottles out and say I'm going to go.
You got to pay
No,
a duty.
You have to pay the duty on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. This is quite interesting. Now I know that you how many boats have you, well, or vessels, boats and big ships, have between the two of you, have you been boarded? Have you boarded?
Well, in total it's somewhere around 1,000 vessels for
the
so
year.
far for the
For
year.
this
For this year.
Yeah.
And the two of you are on every one of those? You board every one of those?
Well, there's 3 shifts. He's on one shift and I'm on the next shift. And somebody else on it.
It's another. Okay. So Alex, how many vessels since you've been doing this job you think you might have boarded?
Probably 1,000.
Probably 1,000. Is it the same for you?
Yeah, I would say that.
About 1,000.
About 1,000.
So I want to ask you a little bit of your personal experience. What's it like getting onto these ships? Are you, I'm sure you've seen all kinds of ships, sizes, and they must be posh, some of them. So is there any memorable ship that you boarded and it wouldn't come out of your mind for years and years?
Definitely not. But most of the ships are beautiful ships, and fascinating inside. It's like very nice. So, but not any particular.
Not any particular
Not
one.
any.
What about you, Richard? Do you have any that stand out in your mind?
It's like, but you see them so often.
So it's all a blur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And most of the ships that come here, they come regular.
Okay. So you
Yes.
see them.
Yeah.
You see them often.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like
you know them.
the-
You might
vessels
get a
are what-
vessel coming 2 times.
2 times per month or per
Week.
year? Per week. Wow.
Going from Suriname, doing a shuttle. Suriname, Guyana, Suriname. So every week you can expect
a
that
particular ship
yeah.
coming.
Like
So since you introduced the issue of where they're coming from, how far away do we have ships coming from that you have seen? What countries have you seen
A lot of countries.
ships coming from?
Italy,
ships come from almost everywhere.
all over.
Italy. So you remember Italy?
Almost everywhere.
Almost
Yeah.
everywhere.
everywhere,
And you
everywhere.
see them.
Yeah.
And do they all come for business, or some of them just passing through the waters?
Well, the only vessels that don't come for business is the yachts.
The yachts.
Yeah,
Okay.
those guys just come and visit.
And do you have to board those as well?
Yes.
You have to board the yachts?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Same
checks.
Same documentation.
But
same-
it's a more simpler form. There's
What's
just
the-
a one form, simple for the yachts.
For the yacht,
Just
okay,
to make
so they-
things simple for them. Yeah.
Okay.
We simplify the form.
But the
Okay.
information remains the same.
It's the same information. Do you have to do your rummage or your scrimmage? It's rummage, right?
Rummage,
Your rummage.
checks.
Do you also do those things
Well,
on yachts, or
but the
you,
yachts are very small.
Small.
It's
you don't have
normal.
to do?
We don't normally
Okay, you don't
do
check that. Okay, all right. So we want to talk now about how your area that you're working, which is you call it the customs boat house. How do you function? What are the functions of that particular area that you're working? I know, first off, and I'm just preempting you, for very many of these vessels, you are really the face of our country, because sometimes they wouldn't deal with anyone else. You are our first, you are the first encounter they will have with, in many cases, an official from Guyana. So I assume that the need to be very professional and to be friendly and to make sure that Guyana is not embarrassed in any way, that's a lot of responsibility.
That's right.
So you have that responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the customs boat house.
Well, the customs boat house, we basically deals with boarding of the ships, and we deals with these. The only vessel we really supervise the discharging of is the oil tankers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have oil tankers as well.
Yeah.
So those would be huge
Yeah.
when they come. So you have to supervise. So when you say that those are the only ones you supervise the discharging of, what do you mean?
We supervise the discharging of only the oil tankers, because the other cargo vessels, they normally go to the relevant transit sheds, and there's officers at the transit sheds that
And
deals
brokers
with
and so on will deal,
Uh-huh.
will deal with that.
But for the oil tankers, they got sufferance wharf. That's not licensed customs.
That's
wharf.
another term too.
Okay, that's another term, sufferance.
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean?
It means that it's not a licensed wharf.
Okay.
Yes.
So they go there to discharge
To
their,
discharge.
their
Yeah.
discharge their oil. All right. How many officials are authorized to board a vessel at a time? Alex, do you have?
Well, there's the customs, the plant quarantine, the vector control,
Port health.
and the port health, along with the immigration officer.
So you have like 5 of you are boarding at one time.
At
Yeah.
one time.
And each of you have different functions,
Different
but you work
functions.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now there's some important bits that you mentioned, and I don't know if you will, but you talk about vector, port health, and vector control. So it's just like they need to come and check to make sure that, they have to check to see that.
Yeah, we deal with different functions.
Right.
The port health deals with the aspect of if anybody's sick
Sick
on
on
board.
board, right,
Yes,
right.
it's
So if someone is sick on board, though, have you had any encounter where a ship turned up and the person was sick?
They do.
And then you have, what
Minor,
happens?
minor, you know.
So do they get quarantined or they have to be
Well,
checked?
the port health, they normally check for that. They check, I think they have cards that would show who need to be quarantined and whatever.
Oh, so you have to be quarantined.
Yellow fever, vaccination.
And then you have to look
stuff.
for vaccinations because
That's
you don't
Port health deals
Yeah, the
with
port
that.
health deals with
deals
that.
with that. And obviously, you know why this is important. This is because, as you know, if you're leaving the country, some countries you have to get vaccines and so on before you can enter them because they don't want you to take any diseases. And by the same token, when people are coming into Guyana,
same
the
thing.
same thing. You
Same
don't
thing.
want anyone to come into Guyana, and much has come on a ship because that takes a long time. You can
Yeah.
infect a lot more people as that's a longer time. And you don't want them to turn up in Georgetown, where we're so densely populated as well, and they come with some disease or anything like that, that we, first of all, our healthcare system might not be, ready to take care of it. We might not even know what it is. So those are some of the reasons why you have the Port Health Authority and the vector control
Plant
people,
quarantine.
those officers who will be there. So you have about 5 of you doing the checks. How long does a typical check of a ship take?
We take about half of an hour.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
So you check documents.
Yeah.
You check for all the other things, your rummage, you do your rummage if you need to,
Yes.
and so
Only
on.
for the small vessels.
The small vessels. All right. So let's talk a little bit about when you mentioned they have to present documents to you, right? What are the documents the ship, the master of the ship is expected to present to you when they land up in Port Georgetown?
When the vessel force come, the agent then presents to us the clearance from the last port. That is, if they leave Suriname, they bring the clearance from Suriname to us first. Then that's mean that it's a legal transaction. And then they move on to give us a copy of the crew list, the stores list. There's a dangerous cargo form. That means that if the vessel have any dangerous containers, dangerous cargo in any container stuff.
So they can have like some kind of wild animal in there that's dangerous?
No, not animal,
Not
but
animal.
dangerous cargo is like anything flammable or,
Okay.
Yeah.
And if they have ammunition and so on, they have to tell you that?
They declare on the form.
They declare on the form they
Yeah.
have ammunition. All right. So you have that. What happens, because here's a question I want to ask you. Did you ever encounter a vessel that came in and when you boarded it didn't have the required documents, you suspected it might be a little bit shady? Did you have any one of those happening, any of those instances?
Definitely not, because if a vessel comes in and the person don't really know, they normally hire agent, the agent
handle-
to handle it.
To handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the agent would normally
So
have
the agent would normally know, and they would have all the
forms.
required
How they
documents.
work.
All the required
Forms,
documents for
yes.
them. So you don't encounter vessels that come in and they might be suspected of smuggling
No,
and all of
because
that.
most of them use agents. So
They use
the
agents. Will look after
look
everything
after
for them.
everything.
All right. What happens, however, even though they use agents, what happens if they make a false declaration? So I tell you I have 5 crew. Do you actually ask to see the crew or do you just look at their names?
We just look at the names.
Names, okay. But what happens if I say to you, look, I have 10 people, but I actually have maybe 25 on board? Or I say I only have X amount of something and I have more than that. So my declaration then becomes untrue. What do you do? What are the penalties? Do you have penalties attached to
Yeah,
those
but
things?
if we find out, well, Lovell was, that should be.
Lovell, that's your
enforcement.
area. Come on, Lovell,
He
talk
was
to me.
part of the enforcement.
Enforcement,
Yeah.
so okay.
No, if a vessel comes into Guyana and make a false declaration, there is a penalty attached to it. Like, for instance, you talk about crew, 10, and they have 20. that's a false declaration. And I think immigration
We'll step in
would
to deal
step
with
in
that.
to deal with that.
Okay.
You're dealing with cargo now. They declare this amount and they have extra cargo that they didn't declare. There is a penalty attached. I think it's about $1,000.
$1,000 Ghana dollars?
Ghana.
The $1,000 I think is for late reporting a vessel late.
Late.
Same thing,
If you
yeah.
re- yeah.
Same
$1,000.
$1,000.
But
But you
for
have-
false declaration, we hand it over to the enforcement.
And they
basically.
And
handle
they will handle that too.
Yeah.
you
So that's a
know.
different area set up
Yeah,
as well.
separate,
So,
yeah.
so all of this is kind of very interconnected. So you
Yes.
do your bit, and then you have, if something happens,
Something, yes.
you have another department,
Another agency take over.
another
that.
agency that handles that.
Yeah.
Have you had cases where perhaps a vessel comes in unforeseen circumstances? It's not a vessel that was on a manifest. Do you know, by the way, vessels that are coming in? Do you get a manifest to say, okay, like you have the planes arriving, we know this plane
Call
is
it the
coming.
ETA. The agents would say, you're expecting a boat coming in at so and so time.
So the agents will tell you that. So you
you normally do.
They normally
They
do.
would give us like 24 hours notice.
And say, okay, I'm expecting my boat is going to dock
Yeah, that's
anytime
right,
now, it's
that's
going to
right.
come in.
Yeah.
So what happens if a boat comes in and you have no prior information that this boat is coming? It's completely unexpected. You didn't think it was going to come. You didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, well, it's be boarded the same way, you know. They send and get an agent, or if they don't have one, and then be boarded. That's normal.
And you check.
And we check.
All right. Any of these, when you have to board, anytime you were on anyone, you did a boarding and perhaps it was a little bit dicey, you were a little bit worried. You have those things when you're not very sure.
Don't normally happen.
I think what you probably want to get at is now a boat coming from Suriname. You see, we using Suriname for a lot of example. From Suriname to Guyana takes 17, 13 hours.
Okay.
A boat coming from Suriname now, the last port they would sign and the timings, and it's showing that it's been 2-3 days.
Then you get a little bit.
Something is wrong.
Okay, you get a little
But
bit.
what take you
concerned.
so long? From Suriname to Ghana, which is only 17 hours.
Right.
You came in 3 days after.
And then
They would have to say now, convince you.
that something didn't happen.
Probably they had a breakdown or something like that.
Okay.
But you would know. 'Cause there is a time frame. From Trinidad to Guyana is a different time. From Barbados to Guyana is a different
Right.
time.
So you check all of this.
Yeah, you would know. You would.
That would be a red flag right
You're
away.
right.
Something is a little bit off.
Yeah.
Do you monitor the coastline vessels? Do you ever monitor?
Yes, definitely.
How is that? How do you do
We
that?
monitored in the way of a cargo book. They always present to us the cargo book.
It's
the
a
cargo
requirement.
Book, yeah. It's a C-48 form.
Right.
The cargo book. So whenever they leave, if they're trading, if they're plying course-wise, if they leave Essequibo, well, they come to town, they give us, in the cargo book, there's a book that always remain on the vessel. Right? So when the vessel comes in, whether it go to fertilizer wharf or whatever,
It tells
then
you.
It tells you.
So you can look at that book and then know exactly
Where the
where.
vessel-
Yeah,
where
because the captain would put in all the information. Then they present it to the boathouse.
Time
right.
of loading, time of departure.
Right. So all of these things,
Yeah.
you have to. It's in the boat.
Yeah, and another thing to note is that with the cargo book, let me just say a visit is being done by enforcement, coastal vessel, and they ask to see the cargo book. That book would show that it's up to date, and if it's not, well then
You
they-
have questions again.
Yeah.
If it's not up to date.
Yeah.
Now I know we talked a little bit about. We talked a lot, in fact, about the bigger vessels. We didn't talk about the smaller vessels because you have a tonnage assigned to the bigger vessels over 1,000.
Yes.
Is it
The
100?
tonnage over 100.
Over
tons.
100,
100.
100 tons, that qualifies as a bigger
Yes,
vessel.
that's right.
So you have the smaller, and I guess for the smaller vessels, you have a lot of local vessels.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that difficult to manage? How are the local vessels doing?
Well, the small vessels, they just require some added documents, right? They use a C10 form, like I told you, the rummage certificate. And if they're clearing, they're going out, they use an entry outward. That's the C9 form,
Right.
right? And these are added documents that they would submit to customs before they are granted clearance to leave.
So when a boat comes to Port Georgetown and it docks and you do your checks, is there you know, do you say how long it should stay there, or does it have, can it stay there for as long as it wants? Do you give it a time? Like when you check into, you know, a country, you have a total of 30 days you can stay.
No, they can stay.
No,
So-
there's no time
There's
frame.
no time.
So there's no time frame.
No.
They can stay there for as long as they want.
That's right. But once they come in, they must report within the 24 hours period.
So within 24 hours, once they land, they're in Port George, they have to say something to somebody.
They have another form, another set of form documentation they need to submit,
Right.
calling
Say,
reporting
okay.
within 24 hours.
So, oh, I see how that makes sense. Because if they come in at 3 in the morning, you are not at that time. Are you there to board
Yes,
vessels?
Yeah,
at
yeah,
three?
yeah.
we
24
work
hours.
24 hours.
Oh, wow.
24
So you're
hours.
boarding at that hour as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
anytime.
Okay.
Anywhere to midstream or alongside.
Huh. I'm interested in the midstream. Midstream meaning you can take a boat to go out to meet them.
Yeah.
Why?
You go
Why
up the Jacob ladder.
the Jacob ladder?
Yeah.
Why does that happen when you have to go out midstream? Is it because of the tide or?
Yes, because some vessels may come, they might not be going to any port alongside,
Going
any wharf alongside Georgetown. They might probably going to both sides, to Linden,
Oh, okay.
to the bauxite company.
So you have to go out.
We board it, so they go to the bridge.
Oh, I
And depends
see.
on the timing with the bridge too.
Yeah.
And that depends on the time of the bridge. So this is interesting. You were just discovering. So the boys don't just work on land; they get to work on sea as well. So you have to go out to meet the boat,
Yeah.
and you climb up that little ladder like the
Yeah.
pirates do.
Yeah,
And you get it. Is that scary?
sometimes.
Sometimes because the water can be
Water
rough.
be
It's
rough
really rough.
sometimes, yeah.
Have you had a lot of those encounters?
Yeah, probably every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
You have
Because, for instance, if there was 1,000 board for the year, about 500 we board midstream.
to midstream. Okay. And I'm thinking that climbing up that ladder, you need to be fit and so on,
That's right.
and you
it
have
take
to.
a lot out, yeah.
And you have to know to swim. Is that a requirement of your job? You have to know to
No.
swim. It's not a requirement. Both of you know to swim, though.
Well,
Not in my
I might be able to save myself.
But Alex, can you swim?
Definitely not.
That's interesting that you can't swim. But so I don't feel so badly now. But maybe it should be a requirement. You know, if you're going out to board, you have to. Is it high getting up on some of those?
Some of them, some of
Yeah,
them.
some of them are very high.
Some of them
Very
very
high.
high.
So
Very,
what's
very
your
high.
trick to getting up? You don't look down? What's the story?
Yeah, you keep looking up. Keep looking up. Yeah.
And you climb.
You climb.
Yeah, climb.
And you climb. And you climb with your shoes. You don't try to get comfortable or anything.
No,
you
same. Sure.
you try with everything.
Yeah.
And it shakes. I'm trying
Well,
to
yes.
I'm trying to create a
They
picture
do.
for-
Depends on the
on the tide
On the tide.
and how the water is. So it's a dangerous job.
it is.
It's a dangerous job. We want to thank you though because you continue to do this. And again, while it is a PR program for the Ghana Revenue Authority, sometimes we talk to people and we think they're only pushing papers, they're only pushing pen. We don't understand the extent to which they have to go. And all of this is really for our country. It's not just for the Ghana Revenue Authority. It is about getting revenue for our country. So I know you probably don't hear it often enough, but we thank you. We know you risk your lives. It does very much appear that you do this on a regular basis as well. And we can forget that you're out there doing this. So when you see the gentlemen in these uniforms, know that they risk their lives to ensure that the correct revenues are given to our country, because that's what your primary function is, apart from making sure everything else, to make sure that if they have things to declare,
Yeah,
they
protection of revenue.
protection of revenue. I like how you put it. Richard Lovett. All right, we're down to our final 5 minutes or so of our program. Let's just remind you, this week we're talking about clearing international vessels, and we have 2 rookies on our program this week. They've never done any of these programs, Richard Lovell and Alexander, also known as Alexander Elliott. They're both boarding officers, and they were kind enough to take some time out from their schedules because, as you heard, they have boats coming in all the time. And they took some time out to chat with us this week about what it is they do. Now, I want to just go over quickly as we're coming down to the end of the program. Perhaps you are having a boat coming in to Guyana for the first time. You took an agent, or maybe you forgot to take an agent, or you thought you can do this by yourself. Can I do it by myself if I'm an importer?
Yes, you could.
I can do it by myself.
If the captain could
Do everything.
Do everything.
Yes.
yeah.
Do everything. All right. So if this boat is coming in with my cargo, do I have to also be present when you're doing your checks, or I don't have to
No,
be there?
no.
I don't have to be
No, you
there.
don't have to be there.
When am I required to be there? Am I required at any time to be there?
Not when
Not-
we boarding
Not
us.
during the boarding. Not
not-
during the boarding.
Okay, but afterwards, I
Afterward,
might
yeah.
have to if there's
Might
some
probably go to the wharf and clear
and
whenever
clear
you
and
have to go
everything
clear
else.
stuff.
All right. So let's go over the form. So a boat coming into Guyana, a vessel coming into Guyana's waters, they have to stop at Port Georgetown. Whether or not, as you heard, they're going to come alongside, that's the word I just learned, or they're going to go midstream. The guys are there, they're going to check them out, and whether or not they have things to actually declare, they still have to stop for you to
They must be boarded.
They must be boarded.
Must be boarded.
They must be boarded at all times. And you go to board, and I know that the forms that Alex or Richard are going to tell us about, they're going to remind us about, we want to let you know that those forms, specimens of them are online. In fact, the actual forms, I understand, are online.
Yeah, that's right.
You can see our website address right now on your screen. So if you need to know what those forms look like, what it is that you have to declare, what are the things that are required to be in those forms, here's an opportunity for you to check it out. By the way, do you have issues or challenges with sometimes when people fill those forms out? Do they make mistakes? Do you have areas where they fill it out wrong?
No, well, that's why the owners for the vessel or the captain for the vessel normally use the agent. Because the agent is accustomed to dealing with it. He deals with it every day. So
do you have agents who sometimes might make a mistake or two, or you have any of those, or do you?
Not really. We have the same regular agents for all the
Right,
years,
so they know this. They
what
know
have
this
to do.
stuff. Okay, so so you have those forms, and what are those forms? What are the numbers again? To see what? When they're coming in, and they have to give those to you?
The C1,
The C1,
C2,
C2,
C3.
C3.
Yes.
Well, those are quite easy. C1.
The cruise list and the stores list.
So
And
cruise
there's
list.
a dangerous cargo form.
So all right. So dangerous cargo form, cruise list, and stores list. Those are the things you're looking for when you board.
Yeah.
All right. In addition to the boarding officers, as you heard earlier in our program, there's also the vector control officer. There's someone from the vector control department, also from the Port Health Authority. Someone is going to be there, and someone from immigration. Is it
Yes,
immigration?
immigration, that's
And
right.
immigration. So you have a full complement of, and you all board at the same time?
We are both at the same time.
Hang on a second. So when you're going out, if the boat is midstream, so someone from Vector Control and Port Health Authority also they have to also
Yes.
do the latter
They
thing?
They do.
Do you work with,
They also have a female there.
that's what I was just about to ask you. They
do.
have girls who work?
Yeah, they do. They do.
More power to the women who
Yeah,
do
they
this.
do,
That's
they do.
interesting.
They do.
Quite interesting.
They do.
Now, to wrap our program, can you remind us if I'm leaving, when my vessel is leaving Port Georgetown, do I require documents? Do I have to submit a fresh set of documents to say I'm leaving now?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, what are those documents I have to?
You have to bring the clearance form. That's the C18 form that we spoke about.
Right.
You bring a copy of the crew list, a copy of the stores list, and there's the C16 form. That's the content ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of that you have to declare.
And
And
it has
then
to
you
be
will
filled.
say, and it has to be filled out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you check it out and you say, okay, well, you can leave
Then
now.
we grant them
We
clearance.
grant the clearance.
And if not,
and they say
if they don't reach the requirements, if they don't do it right, they can't leave.
They know.
well, then we
Have you
ensure
had-
that they get it right.
You have to. Have you ever had to detain a ship? Like it had to stay because it didn't do it right, or You have-
Well, just for the documentation. I don't think
documentation?
so.
Okay.
But-
All right. Good. Richard and Alex, great job. I really did enjoy this conversation. You made your job seem very exciting, I have to say, and you certainly brought out some important aspects of what you do that we didn't know before. The women who do this as well, and we're very unhappy that we didn't get a chance to talk with you as well. But we say keep doing what you're doing. We're quite pleased and quite proud. And we know that this is a big job for them when they board the ships. It's the first sort of interface of our country with the vessel. And so these guys have to make sure that they constantly have their game face on and they present Guyana in the best possible way. So thank you very much, Alex and Richard, for spending
Thank you.
some time with us this week.
Thank you.
Well, that's our program for this week on GRA's Let's Talk Tax. We talked about clearing vessels. We hope you found the program interesting. All the information we talked about in terms of the firms and so on, they are available online at the website, which is on your screen at this time. You certainly can go there. And there are also other information about clearing and boarding vessels in Guyana that you can read up on the website. My name is Juanita Huburn on behalf of the Public Relations Department of the Ghana Revenue Authority. We wish you well and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.